Hello and welcome to Franchises for Fathers. I am excited to talk today with Weston Coles. Weston, how are you? Welcome.
Great. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
It's exciting to have you. I'm excited to have this conversation. So, by way of background, I was cruising around LinkedIn and I saw a post about this guy who sold his house to invest in a franchise in a completely different state in an industry he knew nothing about. I was like, I've got to talk to this guy and find out why and how it's going and what lessons we can learn from that. And so that's the conversation we're going to have. Before we get to that part of your story, Weston, let's back up a little bit. So you have as far as I can tell, a very diverse business background. You've owned other businesses as well. Did you grow up in an entrepreneurial family?
Not at all, actually. I grew up in kind of an artsy family. My father passed away when I was 5 years old, so I kind of grew up without a dad for most of my life. My mom remarried, but no, yeah, not entrepreneurial in any way. I'm probably actually the only one I'm one of six kids. I'm the only one who's kind of really been down that path or kind of trailblazed that. So no, I've always just kind of wanted to do my own thing, you know. I want my freedom to kind of do whatever I want whenever I want. So yeah.
Was that something that you were already developing in college? Did you go into the corporate world or did you just go straight into business ownership because you desired that freedom?
Um I did summer sales. I was a summer sales bro for a couple summers, selling pest control out in Kansas City. So got familiar with that area really well, and I loved it. Learned a lot, but yeah, I mean, I guess from doing that, I've just always wanted to own my own business and do my own thing. So yeah.
So what were you doing before? And we're going to get into what you invested it in and what you're doing now. But what were your first businesses out of college and how did that go?
Yeah, so my first business was actually in college. So I was going to school at BYU, Idaho, and I was doing summer sales. And then I kind of took a break from school because I was like, I was doing good at summer sales. I was going to pursue that a little more intensely. I did that for one summer, and I was like, dude, I'm out of here. And so me and my wife, we transferred to BYU, Hawaii. So we went to school there in Hawaii, and
Nice.
I didn't want to leave the island, and I didn't want to go back and do summer sales. I was like, I need a reason to stay here. And so I found a business, and jobs out there don't pay anything. So I was like, I can't work here. I don't want to do summer sales. I have to figure out something. So I found a business on Craigslist that this old couple were selling. It was an Airbnb cleaning slash like management company, and they were leaving the island. They were selling it, and so I bought it off of them. And worst negotiation ever. Like, I didn't even negotiate anything. I'm just like, sold. I'll buy it. Um, Putting it over, like, I bought it for like probably five times than what it actually was worth. But I was just so stoked to buy my first business and feel legit. So I bought the business. I grew it. I grew up. I tripled the business in like the 2 years that I had it. I employed college students, so like while college students were out so like, they'd go clean all the rentals and stuff, and I just kind of manage everything so I could go to school, spend time with my family. And from that moment, I was like hooked. I was like, dude, this is the only way to do it. Like, I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. Spend time with my family, focus on other things, and I can have this like business running in the background. So yeah, I loved it. I was hooked.
Yeah. So you got intrigued with business ownership. So let's fast forward, right? Let's dive into what I teased at the beginning. You had an
hmm
opportunity to invest in a franchise, right? What did you know about and by the way, the franchise he owns 5 territories of Hello Sugar. He can explain what it is as a franchise business. But let's rewind a second. What did you know about franchising? What did you think a franchise business was? And what appealed to you about moving on from your cleaning business and investing in a franchise?
Yeah. So I was somewhat familiar with franchises. I had casually looked into them like over time, like Subway, McDonald's, like all these other things. And I kind of found out, I kind of figured that you're either buying a brand or you're buying like a system.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I struggle with is creating systems. I hate creating systems. I'm terrible at it. I don't want to do it, and I'm also not very good at marketing. And so, learning about Hello Sugar, um, they took care of all that. Like their back end systems were really efficient. They worked, and that was something that I was kind of lacking. So I felt like this was like a good match because I knew I was good at leadership. I knew I was good at hiring and managing people. If I could just have a system running in the background supporting me, then it'd be perfect.
Yeah. Well, that's a really good point, and I think that's a lot of what franchising brings to the table, right? Because if somebody's watching this and you're thinking, "I wanna be in business for myself, I like freedom," you created freedom in your first business as well, even without, you know, lockdown systems, but I do think systems are a big part of what franchising brings to the table. James Clear, famously the author of Atomic Habits, says you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And so systems provide that bedrock for your business.
Mhm.
But Hello Sugar is an industry that you wouldn't necessarily think about investing in, right? What appealed to you about that particular model?
What appealed to me with Hello Sugar was that its scalability was huge. And it's scalable because of the systems, and that's
Yeah.
what I was struggling with. I had a cleaning company here in Utah. I was struggling really scaling it and pushing it into another state. I didn't have the systems, and so yeah, the scalability was awesome. Just the numbers looked amazing of revenue and growth, and yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
loved it.
what is the business, by the way?
So we're a waxing salon. So hair removal. We do waxing, sugaring, and laser. So it's all hair removal. So 90% of what we do is Brazilians all day long.
Yeah.
Brazilians. Yeah.
And you're not actually doing the Brazilians, are you?
No, no. Although I could, I've I've been around it enough. I think I could probably make my way. So at any time you want, dude, I'll get you taken care of.
Because this is a question that I get asked a lot and I talk to a lot with my candidates. So maybe you can shed some light on this for us, right? I think a lot of people who come to business ownership, vetting franchises, figuring out what's going to be a good fit for them, oftentimes they're coming and looking at it through the lens of I'm going to be doing this work. And I've had people say, "Oh, I'm not interested in pest control." Well, that's because they don't see themselves out there spraying for bugs. But what if it's a great business, right? And so talk to me about that balance between, hey, I'm going to be the business owner. And so the numbers matter, but also how important is it though to invest in a business that you actually kind of like what it's about?
Um, oh man, lots of thoughts here. So first off, you don't need to know. I don't think you necessarily need to know the industry to own the business. You need to know how to bring in revenue, and you need to know how to operate a system. I knew nothing about the beauty industry, literally nothing. So that initial like curve of learning is steep, but once you're there, I know a lot. But I think if you are I don't want to be an operator. Like I want to
Yeah.
be the owner, right? And I think some franchises are designed that you have if you're not operating it, then like you're not making they struggle making money.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those out there. And I don't know, I'm never interested in doing that. So yeah, that's a big thing for me.
And you went all in. So talk about this idea of selling your house to invest in the business. By the way, where did you live when you sold the house? Was your wife on board with that? Because a brick and mortar, right? So Hello Sugar, you have a physical location. Those franchises tend to cost a little bit more. The investment's a little bit higher because you have the brick and mortar aspect of the business. Did you consider any non-brick and mortar so that maybe you wouldn't have to sell your house? Just talk about that all-in mentality of, yeah, I believe in this enough to actually sell my house to make this thing happen.
So funny enough, it was actually my wife's idea to sell our house and go do this. So um yeah, I don't know. We everything just kind of aligned really well. We bought our house in 2019 and we sold it in 2022, and we caught all that huge jump in home values. We lived in Utah. We still live in Utah, but we just knew we weren't going to be in that house for another 5 years. We didn't want to be. So it's like, if we're going to sell it, let's do it now. And I still had my cleaning company. So the idea was we were going to have the cleaning company and both of these. And then once Hello Sugar grows, I'll sell my cleaning company. That was kind of the idea, to kind of do the smooth handoff, but we weren't, I don't know. We, it just made sense, you know?
Okay. It sounds
It
like, I
sense.
mean, it sounds like you're fairly risk averse. Would that be fair to say? I mean, sorry, you're not risk averse. I said that backwards. In other
Yeah,
words,
right.
you seem comfortable with the idea of, yeah, I'm going to need to take some risk, but I see the path. I see some potential because, I think a lot of people, certainly people that I talk to, love the idea of business ownership. Maybe they're coming out of the corporate world. They've never owned a business. They see the appeal, to be sure, love the idea of freedom, agency, ownership of their lifestyle, their business, their income, have a little bit of control over that. But the actual step of taking that risk, making that investment, stepping out of the corporate world into business ownership can be a stiff challenge, a stiff hurdle to overcome for some people. What's your perspective on risk?
Um, Man, that's a good question. I feel like I don't know. I look at a lot of opportunities. Like I'm always looking at stuff. You know what I mean? I'm a big numbers guy,
Your
and
background's in accounting, right?
my background's in accounting. I graduated in accounting. I've never been an accountant, but I know my numbers, and I know what I know myself, and I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at.
Yeah.
And when I feel like there's momentum towards something, I don't hesitate. I just do it. Um, and yeah, a lot of people look at that like, "Oh, you're so brave." I'm like, "Yeah, maybe to others, like, to me, it feels normal, but like, I don't know. It's just what makes sense, and it's really natural. It doesn't obviously, dude. Like, I've lost so much hair and like gray hairs. Like, it's not easy. Like, don't get me wrong. It's freaking hard.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. Like, making that initial jump, there's an excitement about it as well, and I feel like I can always bet on myself. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
Talk
know.
about the hard though, because that's important for people to go in eyes wide open as well. Just because you're investing in a franchise, for example, that's got systems, that has a track record, that has item 19 data you can look at and get a sense of what the potential is, and it's a viable business. You look at some numbers, you say, yeah, this can work. The numbers are here, the margins are here. But you still have to build a business, right? So, what are some traits of successful entrepreneurs? In franchising or even outside of franchising? Like, what does it take to create success as a business owner?
I think it's all about team, like managing a team and being like managing, being a leader. I think, at least in all the business I've done, it's always about the team. It's always about, knowing how to hire right, recruit talent, retain them, keep them happy. Hello Sugar is 100%. It's like it's all about the estheticians that you have in the rooms doing the services. That's the main focal point of the business. Um, and so that's, yeah, and the hardest things all revolve around that, and when someone quits randomly, or someone, everyone people are calling out sick, you have a upset worker, X, Y, and Z. Everything's always revolving around people. So
Yeah.
for me, it's always been like, as long as you're a good people person, and you can lead and inspire people, then you'll be good.
And perhaps it's actually better that you're not physically located where your business is, right? So you actually invested in territories in a completely different states now, multiple states, so that if
Mhm.
somebody calls in sick, if somebody decides to quit on you, you can't step in and give those those Brazilians, right? You've got to plug those holes, from afar. Talk about that added layer of complexity. And would you recommend somebody watching this invest in their local community, be there on the ground, or would it make sense if the numbers work to invest in whatever open territory as long as it's a good business?
Oh, I can't speak to recommending anybody to do anything. For me, I like that I'm not there.
Yeah.
Honestly, because it forces me to rely on others, and it forces me to um, build leadership in my employees. It forces me to acknowledge people's like acknowledge their leadership and reward them with leadership. I can't do it. I need someone else to. Like, hey, you're amazing. I really trust you. Let's give you a little bit more responsibility. And I think that really lifts people, builds a good culture, and makes employees stick around longer too. Because
Yeah.
they feel like they're appreciated, they're valued, and I like that. And it makes it so I don't have to. I'm not running around like crazy trying to fix every little problem. It makes me rely on other people more, and gives me way more free time to enjoy other
Yes.
things.
Well, and that's the scalability you're talking about, or I guess the better word, or the word I would use there would be leverage. You have some leverage because you're building teams and you're working on the business instead of in the business. And that gives you the ability to grow and to scale from there.
So,
So you started with one territory, right? But you've grown, you have five territories now. What's your long-term vision? I mean, can you make a good living with one territory? Would you recommend that people consider multiple territories out of the gate? What are your thoughts on that?
um, can you live off one? Probably, yeah. I it also gets easier the more you scale.
Hmm.
With more locations comes more employees, more great candidates, more roles for other people. It becomes easier the kind of the bigger growth. Maybe not easier, it's different, but I don't know. I think with scale just comes less headaches in that regard.
Yeah.
I would recommend multiple locations, 100%. And my first locations in Kansas City, I used to have four. I only have two now. I had to close down two of them. I scaled a little too quickly. And in Boston, I have three locations, and those are investors. So I raised money to go enter into Boston. So Kansas is self funded. Boston, I have investors.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's really interesting and really helpful. What advice would you have to the younger you, like to anybody? What do you wish you had known before you got into franchising? Like, what's one bit of advice you would have for somebody who's never franchised before, is going to start on this path, and can pull on your experience from mistakes you made or things that you have learned or things you wish you had known before investing in your first franchise business?
My only regret with Hello Sugar so far has been I scaled too quickly in Kansas City, and I had to shut it down those two locations. So that one kind of hurt me a little bit.
What do you
Um,
mean when you say you scaled too quickly? Meaning you just added more locations than you really have the ability to manage well?
I had too many locations, and the market wasn't quite ready for it. Like the brand wasn't big enough. We weren't getting new clients in, and they weren't good territories. They weren't good areas. And this is back when Hello Sugar wasn't as good. We were still baby. Baby franchise back then. We didn't have the mapping software and the strategy of picking locations like we do now. So looking back, it was a bad idea, but at the time it looked good. So they were just bad territories. So that stings when I look back and think about that. But in terms of like other people getting into franchising, because I've had family members join franchises, and it was a terrible experience.
Hmm.
Um, I always think about what value is the franchise bringing in the long term. A lot of franchises, they'll get you set up, and then it's like, do you even need them anymore? Like, what value are they bringing to the table that represents the 6% or whatever you're paying to them? Like, what are they providing you on the back end? And if you were to do it by yourself, can you? That was always a big thing for me, is looking at is what are they actually bringing to the table that you can't get on your own.
That's really good. That's really good. Your LinkedIn bio says you're a family man. Are your kids, what are their ages? Are they working in the business with you? Is this a family business, or are you just sort of
Sure.
running the show at this point?
Yeah, no, I got a 9-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son, and my wife's a therapist. But I mean, I do everything with her, and I don't think there's an issue I go through that she doesn't know about and has counseled me on in some way.
Yeah.
Most of my people skills are just because I say exactly what she tells me to say. So yeah, she's really good with that. But no, yeah, family man, we love to travel. We're actually gonna be traveling for a whole year. We're in 2 weeks. I'm moving out of this house. We're packing everything up and we're traveling for a year. So yeah, excited.
If that's not, an advertisement enough for the value of business ownership, I don't know what is, right? You can manage it from anywhere, provided you choose the right type of business if that's what you want. Like you suggested, for some people, owner operator is the way to go. They love being in their community. They want to be there. They want to be working in the business as well as on the business. And so that's really where fit comes in. But if you love the idea of a freedom lifestyle, there are ways to do that as well, including in franchising. And so I think we will wrap up the conversation here. Really appreciate your time, your insights. Again, was just really intrigued with this idea of going all in on something that you really believe in. So kudos to you. If you're watching this and you are intrigued with Hello Sugar as a potential brand, let me know. We can see what territories are available. Reach out to me in the notes below. But then, yeah, happy to consult and help however we can. Any parting thoughts, Weston?
No, no, that's it.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time, and we will talk with you again soon. Take care.
Thanks, Brett.